All right, welcome in. It's Wednesday. It's time for Total Bases. The technical difficulties have been resolved. We're back live today for another day of some day baseball. Wish there was a little bit more, but that's all right. They gave us a couple day games. And Bryan, Leonard, they gave us a full slate of games, which is always great. 15 games across MLB today. Welcome in. Let's get the chat going. That's something we missed yesterday, not having you guys in the chat in real time. So we're glad to be back live. And for the next hour, we're going to hit as many MLB free picks as possible while going deep into the games as we always do. So let's start. I gotta start with this one. If you watch this show, then Jonah Tong's name should not be new to you because I've been talking about him for weeks. And the Mets called him up. He's going to start Friday. But today, Bryan Leonard, it's Nolan McLean, someone we also talked about before he came up. And the thing that I noticed when I looked at the odds this morning is the books have very much adjusted to the Mets being, maybe they're back. I don't know. They've won 4 of their last 5. They certainly feel like they're back a little bit. But all of a sudden, you've got to pay $1.50 for McLean. Did that move too far in the other direction right there?
Well, he's going against Taijuan Walker. So if you were to judge the starters that have gone in this series based on how McLean has pitched, he's probably the best starter in the 3 games, where Walker is probably the worst for Philadelphia. So, yeah, it makes sense where it's at. This is also a getaway day. Believe this. I think this might be the only one that's a getaway day today. There might be another one, but the Mets will stay at home, but Philadelphia goes back home and they leave after this. So I usually like to look for unders on getaway day games. And this line, the total, the first game of the series was 7.5. Yesterday was 8. Now we're looking at 8.5 to the over. And it might be a good time to come in and play a little contrarian here. The Mets have been the best scoring team in the last 2 weeks. The WRC Plus has been outstanding, and Philadelphia has been very good also. But we'll have to see how this goes. A lot of times when this is a good pitcher's park. So it's, in fact, when I take a look at the combined effect here on the park factors, Citi Field today is 16% less runs, or excuse me, yes, minus 16% less runs, doubles and triples minus 24%. So we're looking at the Mets in the 150 range and total 8.5 to the over. I prefer the under here. Walker's pitched pretty well, although he did pitch twice against the Mets in Philadelphia earlier this year, coming out of the bullpen, and he got hit pretty well. But he is a starter now, and he's done very well as a starter. He's been better on the road. And as I mentioned, this is a pretty good pitcher's ballpark. McLean has been terrific. If you are betting on the Mets, you are probably playing the peak, but I wouldn't argue against it because he's been very dominant so far. And there's actually been, talk of that. You talked about the one. There's a couple other guys that they've talked about bringing up and letting them pitch in the bullpen a little bit. So the Mets are, the pitching staff is looking good. They can just get a couple of the guys that Manaea, we did it again yesterday. We bitch about managers leaving guys in too long. He did it once again yesterday with Manaea. Manaea can only go 4 innings at this point. Tanner Bibby's going 4 innings. You know what you're going to get out of these type of guys at this point. They just cannot pitch longer. They're just the way it is. And if we know it, why doesn't the manager know it? Why doesn't he have somebody in the 5th inning warming up in the bullpen? That's what got away from him yesterday. Luckily, the bats got hot late and they came back, but that's always a concern. But I kind of like the under in this one with these 2 pitchers going a little bit contrarian. I'm in no hurry to play it because I think we may find a 9. Right now, you find a 9 at Sports 411, which is like a Chris book, but it's 9 under 24. I wouldn't have a problem betting that one.
So today I have a 5% play out in MLB today, so it's on my page. Up 105 units in 2025. So I've doubled the bankroll in 8 months. Go grab that play. KBO, I rocked today. I had LG, bad odds, but I also had Samsung first 5 and Samsung money line, and they're winning 14-1. So I feel comfortable calling that one in the 7th or 8th inning. Regarding this game, yeah, McLean, 2 starts, but man, has he been good. And my numbers love him. But the question is 2 starts enough of a sample size? Well, he's not walking anyone. His walk to strikeout rate is excellent. But I would be inclined to take an under here because Taijuan Walker's numbers against the Mets are pretty good. His away stats are better than his home stats. However, I've never been a Taijuan Walker fan. And both of these lineups, according to my rankings, are top 5 lineups. So there's no way I would take an under here. But that would be my inclination. If anything, man, the Mets are just so hot. It's hard to go against them. The Phillies were just as hot, 2 weeks ago. So, baseball goes up and down. Can the Mets, take this one? I would be inclined to take either the Mets or the under, but there's no way I'm going to do either one.
Yeah, this was the spot I had circled for the Mets in this series going into the series. So a little annoyed at myself. I played the Mets all 3 games over the weekend, went 2-1. So it did yield a profit. And then I kind of looked at this series and said, I didn't think that they would take both of the first 2 games, just being honest. I mean, even as high as I am on the Mets relative to the market right now, was a little surprised that they were able to get both of those games. Part of it was, and I'll go back to something Bryan said, Manaea should be coming out of the bullpen at this point. Jonah Tong is going to ultimately replace him in the starting rotation. You're going to see a rotation of Tong, McLean, probably Senga, Peterson, maybe Clay Holmes. But I think Manaea is the one that needs to go. Like Bryan said, can't really go deep into games. I'd rather see him come out of the bullpen come playoff time. So he was, that wasn't someone I really wanted to bet on. Again, I still like the Mets here. It's just the price has sort of, I feel like I've gotten priced out. Like Bryan said, you're definitely like laying sort of a premium price now to back McLean in the -145, -150 range. Doesn't mean it's the wrong side. I do think there's probably still some runs. Both teams have used up some pen the last couple days, and you have 2 offenses like Tokyo Brandon said that are very capable. So 8.5 is a little bit appealing here, given the fact that that's a kind of a favorable number for an over if you're looking to bet overs. But I might do Bryan has done this a couple times where it's like maybe you try to in-game the over and get a better number after the first few innings, because McLean's probably going 5 or 6. I expect him to pitch pretty good. Taijuan Walker's been someone that's somehow been just far better than I expected him to be. But actually, the last show, we talked about his improved pitch mix, using the cutter more. So he's actually been better. But I could see one of these bullpens imploding at some point. They have had some usage. So that's a way to look at it. I think if you were to pin me down for a pick right now, I'd say let's just keep rolling with the Mets. They're on the upswing. They're playing good ball. And I really think Nolan McLean is that guy. I think he's there. I'm telling you right now, I said this a couple weeks ago, I truly believe the Mets are going to get the playoffs, and their 1-2 is going to be McLean and Tong, and they're going to be a totally different team than what you've kind of seen, this season. So I'm all in on McLean. I'm in on the Mets, and I would pick the Mets in this one if I had to bet it. All right, let's go to Fixer, I think is with an X. Appreciate you commenting. Very interesting spelling there. Hopefully I said that right. He said any early game leans. And there was an early game that I had my eye on and I want to talk about. And I know Bryan will love that we're bringing this up because this is his squad. And, I feel like we've kind of gotten this one right so far. Over the course of the last 2 days, Bryan had a bet on the Rays on Monday. He put it in our parlay. That was an easy win. Yesterday, he said, kind of look at Messick. I like the under. It was a 3-0 final. The Guardians get it done. And now one of our 4-day games today is Rays Guardians, Progressive Field. Bryan, you got Slade Ciccone on the mound. The Guardians just dangling by a thread their hopes, their playoff hopes. Does Ciccone get it done, or would you look the other way in this one?
I put a fork in them. They're done. They just yesterday they released Santana. My wife, my mother-in-law, a lot of fans are upset that they did it, but it's what you do when you're out of the playoffs. They're not going to re-sign him again. He's a veteran. He's been a great Indian and then Guardian in this time. And, everybody loves him, but you got to look at the future. So now they're putting Kafis more at first base. He's much better at first base than he is in the outfield. He's just a beginning outfielder. So they'll be able to play him at first base. So they have the first base routine, lefties and righties there. But, they got to start bringing up some younger guys, figure out what the hell they got, because they don't have much here. I used the under yesterday as my best bet, 4% play for anybody who bought it on $5 Tuesday, and they scored 3 runs in the first inning and no more scoring the rest of the game. So a little surprised by the start, but it worked out pretty well. Can't argue with a 4.5 run win. And we've had a lot of that on our 4 and 5% plays lately. Been on a tremendous run, 10-4 on 4% and better in the month of August. Rasmussen on the mound, 2.62 ERA, 3.44 expected, 0.99 whip. He's a guy I love. He doesn't walk a lot of guys, and even though he doesn't have the greatest arm strength at this point, he still throws a 4-seamer about 1 mile an hour better than league average for a righty. He's just a guy I usually like to play, and he's going up against Slade Ciccone, who has really struggled lately. He's still got that 4.41 ERA, not the greatest, but his expected ERA 5.58, so maybe 5.68, and a whip of 1.28. He's in the 6th percentile or worse in expected ERA, expected batting average, average exit velocity, chase rate, barrel percentage, and hard hit percentage. He doesn't strike enough guys out. He walks. His walks aren't bad, 6.4%, which is a little better than average, 2% better than average. But that's really all he does. He's in the 78th percentile in walk rate. Too many pitches in the zone, and he's getting hit, and he's beginning to hit hard. I prefer Tampa Bay here, and I like him probably better in the first half. Let me check the quick first half line on this one. Tampa Bay with Rasmussen's about anywhere from a 140 to 145 in the first half, and in the game it's about 130. So you get paying a little bit more. Both bullpens should be in good shape tonight because there hasn't been a lot of scoring in these games, and both bullpens, other than I believe one player for Cleveland's probably not going to be able to pitch tonight. But other than that, all the bullpen is set up pretty well. The Cleveland bullpen has not been nearly as good second half of the season, obviously, when they've lost Class A. So I do have some concerns about that. So maybe take a look at Tampa Bay first 5 at minus 140 or so. Maybe something to take a look at.
A lot to like about Rasmussen. I mean, guy is a stud, and I've watched him pitch. Love what I see. Passes the eye test. He's got great numbers on the road, a 2.68 ERA in 47 innings. And also, he's only given up 4 earned runs in his last 4 starts. So that's pretty solid. On my rankings system, I have him ranked 6 on a curve of 30 out of all starting pitchers, where I got Ciccone ranked 25th out of 30 on a curve. Ray's bullpen has shaped up lately. They lost yesterday, but that wasn't the bullpen's fault, and got them ranked 4. Cleveland's ranked 21. And regarding the hitting, despite getting blanked yesterday, I still have Tampa Bay ranked number 6 in MLB, which is surprising because they're never really known as a great hitting team. So I'd like to back Rasmussen here. I mean, he's a good pitcher. Thing is, Ciccone is kind of my nemesis ever since he was with the Diamondbacks. He's one of those guys who every time I fade him, he goes 7 innings, no earned. So hopefully he doesn't do that today, but he does have a home ERA over 5. So maybe that's a sign that he's not going to bite me today. So yeah, I'd like to back Rasmussen here.
Yeah, I like the Rays. I don't like the Rays as a team, but this matchup sets up nicely for them. You were talking about Ciccone kind of gets you. Like, I feel like he's gotten me in certain spots, but his expected ERA is almost 6 on the year. I think he's in the bottom 5% in the league in expected ERA and expected batting average. Not good. Has some of the lowest chase rate in the league. Doesn't get a ton of swing and miss. Gives up hard hit. Like, I'll go back to like what I said during his last start. He's a guy that's pretty much like, the Guardians. I think Bryan talked about this last week or maybe the week before, where the Guardians went a different way in terms of building organizational depth. They've really started to focus on drafting position players, probably because their lineup is atrocious. I think they kind of saw the writing on the wall with this last year and maybe the year before, where they had what they felt like was a really good team and just not a ton of offensive really firepower outside of, Ramirez and maybe Naylor at the time. Suddenly they don't have much pitching in the organization. And so I think Ciccone was a result of just, he was available. The Diamondbacks essentially gave up on him. So the D-backs gave up on him. He was available. And I think they said, let's just grab a couple of these guys and see what happens. And then what happened was Ben Lively got hurt. Shane Bieber ended up being moved. And now suddenly you need a starting rotation, and he's kind of just still there. Like he's still the option they want to roll with, because the guys that are worth anything in that organization from a pitching standpoint haven't really gotten a AAA yet with a lot of reps outside of Messick, who's now taking a different rotation spot. So I'm going to throw Rays in the parlay. I may even play this. It's a day game. I'll probably think about it over the next hour. I was kind of hoping to get like maybe 10 cents cheaper, just because the Guardians take money sometimes. Like if you could get me down to like minus 120, I think I would be all over the Rays right here. Bryan, what are we at right now? Like minus 130 for this? Minus 135?
Yeah, there's a 27 out there at Pinnacle, but everything else is, 130 all the way up to 140. 28 at Circa here in Vegas, Heritage 29. But the sharper books are at about 132, I would say. The recreational books slightly higher.
I just feel like you look at these two teams on paper; they're very, they're very similar in my opinion. They almost like similarly bad offense. They've got some pitching. They have bullpen arms. They're very. I mean, you look at them in the standings. Guardians 65 and 66, Rays 64 and 68. They're the two teams that are kind of like pretenders that are in the wild card race, but we know they have no shot to make the playoffs. Tampa Bay's run differential this year plus 39. The Guardians minus 56. Like that's a pretty big difference in run differential with two teams that are almost the same. So yeah, well let's throw the Rays in the parlay. We'll try to get the parlay going early. We'll call it minus 130. I do think I agree with the boys here that Rasmussen gives them a pretty nice edge. Sean, I gotta disagree with you. He says the Guardians are a better team than the Rays. I don't think I agree with that.
No way.
I got to disagree, and I rarely disagree with Sean. But I got to disagree. I think I like the Rays' bullpen arms and their ability to be scrappy a little bit more than the Guardians.
He thinks the Tigers are good.
The Tigers are good.
But the Tigers are good. The Tigers are still a division winner.
I'm just starting some stuff.
Yeah,
they're okay.
Well,
Josh makes a good point, though. Is the Rays like a super popular side today? I guess I didn't really. Yeah,
it doesn't matter. Winning the bet all that matters.
But
yeah, it doesn't matter to me. But
you got to realize Tampa Bay's gone the entire year without their number one starter, McClanahan. Hunter Biggie was supposed to be their one of the guys that was going to help them. He's been out for a long time. You look at it for hitters, Aranda, Kim. They brought Kim in. He's hurt all the time. Aranda was probably their best or second best player till he went down with a fractured wrist. So this isn't a bad team. It isn't a bad team at all. I think in the offseason they'll fix a few things. They just brought up Carson Williams, who's done nothing but hit since he's been up there, and Seymour at first base. So he hasn't gotten hot yet, but he's a decent looking young player. But they've got some guys on this team. Simpson to lead off. I love guys that can bat 300 and put pressure on the defense from stealing bases. And we all know unless Hedges is behind the plate, they're not going to throw out Simpson. The rest of their guys suck when it comes to throwing out runners.
Yeah, and one other comment, Cleveland going to get swept at home. This is not for a sweep. The Rays won game 1 convincingly, and the Guardians bounced back with a 3-0 win last night. So, I just
blanked them.
Interesting conversation, though, there. And, doesn't matter who's on the Rays. I still like them, and I'll go with the crowd if I have to here. All right. DP Singh says, Red Sox flying under the radar. Maybe. I think the Red Sox have come to the forefront a little bit in the last few weeks. They are leading the wild card. I would say after the Yankees series, Brian Leonard, I don't think the Red Sox are really under the radar anymore. Now, are they could they still even be better than maybe they're getting credit for? Yeah, I could see that. Plus 106 on the run differential. They're 73-60. Roman Anthony looks like the generational star that he was billed to be coming in, kind of coming up through the minors. And they're getting some pitching. I was wrong yesterday. My only client play was the Orioles, and I got mowed down by Lucas Giolito. I have to tip my cap. I just did not see that coming from him in the second half after he sort of went on his run in June. He has been tremendous, and I'll give credit where credit is due. That being said, I don't think the Red Sox are flying under the radar right now. And I do think that maybe the price is getting a little inflated here. Like yesterday, it made sense that it was, that it was kind of priced accordingly, like kind of like a pick. You had Bradish on one side, Giolito on the other. The Red Sox are clearly the better team, but that was closer to a pick. Now you're looking at the Red Sox as a pretty big favorite. You could almost play Orioles plus 1.5 here at a reasonable price if you wanted to. So, Brian Leonard, you had Orioles in the parlay yesterday. Do you have any interest coming back with the Orioles here?
Current line is about 135 for Boston. Take back, in the 121 range, something like that, 120 range. Ends going. He's a lefty going for Baltimore. He came over from Detroit. They cut him in Baltimore, picked him up, I believe, is how that worked out. But the total is 9 here. The money on the overnight, Boston, and granted, there's not much money there, but Boston opened up as a 160 favorite and 135 on the comeback. And so Baltimore's taken a lot of money early on here. And that kind of surprises me because even though I hated Brian Bayo when they signed him for that long-term contract, he's been really good as of late. And so money's coming in on the somewhat unknown ends here after Baltimore looked bad yesterday. That tells me I think that's the right side on here is on Baltimore. Boston, after playing the Yankees, and that the big comeback, and then the way they played yesterday, they may be running out of a little bit of gas here. Let me just make a quick look and see who Boston has coming up here. After this one, let's see. Tomorrow they're at Baltimore for the finale, and then they're home to Pittsburgh. Okay, so there's nothing to look forward to in that regard. But I could see them basically being very overrated when they are at home against Pittsburgh and might be able to take advantage of that if you're looking for the Pirates. But slight lean with Baltimore here, but may not be enough to get there.
Yeah, Sean, just stop, dude. My stats are not fake. Our records are posted on wagertalk.com, and my stats are there. They're not fake. Go look it up. I'm the number one guy 3 of the last 4 years. Go look it up. Better yet, ask Wager Talk. Go ask. info@wagertalk.com. Go ask them. Anyways, back to this game. I like Boston here because I like Bale and I like his stats against the Orioles. And I have the lineups pretty even. I like Boston's bullpen better. And Dietrich Enns is a guy who I've watched since he was in Japan, and I really didn't like him. He played for Cebu a couple years, and he was just average. He couldn't even make the number one rotation spot on his own team in Japan. So I don't really have a lot of faith in him. I don't really know what he's done this year. Oh, he's 1-2 with a 4.97 ERA. Oh, not a lot of faith in that. So it would be Red Sox or nothing here. Dude, Sean, just give it a rest, dude. You're so lame. Anyway, that's my thought on this. Boston or nothing for me.
I'm getting more interested in the Orioles as I look at Twitter. So I kind of, Dietrich Enns has really been a bullpen guy the last month plus. Like when he got called, so and I had to kind of look this up because early in the year when he was with Detroit, he was a starter at Toledo. Then he got called up. If you remember, we talked about him. Actually, we gave out a winner on Enns on the show. Believe he started a day game against maybe it was the A's, and he pitched really good. We ended up kind of cashing with him. And then he had a couple of good starts, moved to the bullpen. As Bryan said, he got let go. Orioles have picked him up, and they've used him out of the bullpen since. So it looks like he's going to be an opener here. And it looks like the guy that's going to be behind him is going to be Roansy Contreras, who has actually thrown the ball pretty good at Norfolk as a starter. So that's actually that's far more appealing to me than a Dietrich Enns start, because it looks like they're going to probably let Enns go once through. He'll face the lefties in that order, the Roman Anthonys and the lefties they have at the top of the order. I think he'll be more than one inning. I'm guessing that they're going to probably let Enns go two, and maybe let him go until he sort of gets himself into trouble. If you look at his recent relief outings, there's a lot of 2-inning outings there. So I think you see Enns for 2. Roansy Contreras has a totally different look. I mean, he's going to come from the right side, throwing stuff with movement. Like I said, I thought he's thrown it well for Norfolk for most of the year. That's actually pretty appealing. And I wonder if that's maybe why the Orioles are taking some money, because I kind of see that being a tough setup for Boston, having to deal with Enns for 2 innings. And then Roansy Contreras, who they probably, I don't know if they've ever seen him. Where did he spend most of his time, Bryan? Pittsburgh, when he was up in the league for most of the time? Was he a Pirate?
Yeah, he was a guy that was highly touted for Pittsburgh and never really worked out. But we've seen pitchers travel from one place to another. They make a couple adjustments, other than Nick Abel, who still stinks, at least so far, with Minnesota as he did with Philadelphia. But every team makes a little bit of adjustments. And, even though Enns has that 4.97 ERA, his expected ERA is 3.57. He's only thrown 55 major league innings, and he's a lefty. And I just love lefties that people don't see very often. And so we saw it yesterday with the Cleveland pitcher, and he's done it 2 starts in a row. I think Enns will probably go 3 innings, but we'll see how this works out.
Yeah, and with a guy like Enns, I mean, you talk about like good expected ERA numbers. You would like to think that his numbers trend toward that if they're going to keep him in this relief role, right? Because they're clearly putting him as an opener to set him up for success. I know the Red Sox have a couple of lefties at the top of their order, and they wouldn't put him as an opener if they didn't like his matchup against like the first 5 Red Sox hitters. So yeah, I think Enns could have success, and then suddenly you get Roansy Contreras throwing some nasty stuff from the right side. Like I said, I've caught 2 of his starts at Norfolk. I thought he's thrown it really, really solid. Orioles I think are worth the flyer at plus price, and I like Orioles plus 1.5 as well. If I didn't put the Rays in the parlay, I may have probably put that. I don't know. Am I allowed to change? No, I'm going to leave it. Let's leave the Rays for now. I might change by the end of the show. All right. Let's
I was going to put the Red Sox in the parlay, but I'll lay off.
So
no.
Okay.
I won't. I'll wait.
I'll leave Rays. I'm going to leave Rays. But I do think Orioles have some value knowing that that's going to be the setup. I think that's a tough setup for the Red Sox. Okay, let's move on. Chat's firing away. We love it. We love all the interaction, listen. There's no wrong comment. there's no, if you want to say Trig, you suddenly are dog shit because you're 0-6 the last 3 days. That's fine. I'll take that. I was 5-0 on Saturday, but hey, this is how it goes. Bryan Leonard, I wish I could go 1-1 every day, but it doesn't work like that. Sometimes you win a few, sometimes you lose a few. We love the comments and the interaction regardless. Someone said terrible pick, Adam. I'm not sure if they're talking about that pick or last night's, but they were both equally bad. But yeah, we love the comments. Hop on to the Wager Talk YouTube channel. Drop us a comment or a like or subscribe. We appreciate any interaction, and it lets us keep doing this going forward. Did you guys win the parlay yesterday? No. I think 2 of the legs lost. We got to get a parlay winner. We are basically back to even. And last time we were back to even, we cashed one. So maybe we'll cash one today. We'll keep trying. But I want to go to this game because as if the chat is not fired up enough, let's see if we can get a more turn over here because the A's, yeah, they're dangerous. And the Tigers have found that out firsthand the last 2 days. And it doesn't surprise me, Bryan Leonard. It surprises me that Scooble blew the lead on Monday. I like the Tigers at the price in that game once the A's took the money and got Tigers down with Scooble to like $1.80. Yesterday, I did a video for the Wager Talk YouTube channel, gave out the A's. They got the win, and I'll continue to make the same point. The Tigers took their foot off the gas in that series against the Mariners, and they have not been able to recover since. And they're just a team that they need to do all the little things right because they're not talented enough to win games unless they're doing all the little things right. Bryan, they're not doing the little things right. They've lost 2 games in this series. Do the A's win again today?
Well, they could very well. I talked about Detroit when they got such a big lead in the division. We've seen it with the Dodgers, and the Dodgers haven't been able to come out of it either. But Mize going today against Morales. Mize is about a 125, 123 favorite, something like that. Total's 10.5. When you take a look at the ballpark factors for today, this is expected to be the highest scoring game over what we would normally have. The wind's blowing out here, and they're expecting 21% more runs in Sacramento than you would have in a normal ballpark in Major League Baseball. Mize is a guy who surprised me a little bit earlier in the season. He's starting to fade a little bit now, as we expect. Still 3.68 ERA, 3.78 expected, 1.27 whip. He's always had a little problem with the whip, but he's pitched all right. I mean, he's highly touted, and his time is going to come. But Detroit's had a lot of these guys that very much like Cleveland, where they've had these guys that were supposed to have been a lot better than what they ended up turning out to be. Mize is great, 83rd walk percentile, extension 88th, but everything else is 50% or lower. I do have some concerns about him. Does throw 5 different pitches at 10% or more. I do like that. Morales going for the A's here. He's only pitched 4 games, 3 starts, 15 innings total, 15.2, 1.72 ERA, but a 4.54 expected. He's been lucky thus far, 1.15 whip. His fastball velocity is in the 88th percentile. He throws 97.1 miles an hour, and he does throw that 53% of the time. He throws, basically he's a 3-pitch pitcher, sweeper, changes slider, throws a cutter 1%, but most of his stuff has not been that impressive, but it is a small sample size of only 15.2 innings. He's a guy, he's only 22. He will likely end up being the closer for the A's now that they traded Miller away. He's their number 1 prospect, and I think we can get a few good innings out of him here against an opponent in Detroit that really isn't playing as they did earlier in the season. They faded a little. Everybody, when you get off to the kind of start they had, we know it was all going to happen. And but they played a little bit better lately. I believe they're 7-3 the last. Let me take a quick look here. Standings: Detroit 6-4 their last 10. So they're not killing anybody. They're still, they go 6-4 the rest of the way. They win in a landslide in this division. So don't like Detroit here. Would prefer the Athletics, Don't know if I'll get there, but I do like the way this Morales pitches, and he's a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, I think Morales is the wild card here, but my numbers like him a lot. By the way, guys, I do have a 5% play out today and a free play loaded at my page at wagertalk.com. Go take a look. I'm sure my colleagues here are going to have something up if they don't already. I love how you guys comment when I lose a game, but when I went on an 18-2 run, nobody said anything. It's kind of funny. Anyways, regarding this game, Morales is kind of the wild card, but he's pitched well. And my numbers really like him. The question is the sample size large enough? Now, I got these two lineups pretty neck and neck here, but I got the A's with the better bullpen and the better starter. But, I take a look deeper. Mize is not that bad on the road. So the A's were just blasting the ball last week, but they've cooled off quite a bit. I got both of these teams ranked number 12 in run production in the last or current form. So it would be A's or anything, but I'm going to lay off it because Tigers are a good team. I mean, I'll give them props for that. They are a good team. I was just joking around earlier. They're a decent team, and it's really hard to win 3 in a row against a really good team. So the way they lost yesterday was a little bit heartbreaking, though. I don't know. I'm a little torn, and when I'm torn, I just lay off because not betting is not losing. So it sounds good to me. So I'll lay off this game. But if I had to bet it, I would bet the A's. You're muted.
Sorry, dogs were going nuts.
Dogs again.
What's so exciting up there? Yeah, I would say the way they lost 2 days ago was even more heartbreaking. You had a 3-0 lead with your guy on the mound with Skubal, and it got blown up. And then yesterday lose a competitive game like that. Could only go back with the A's here. A couple of reasons. One, I've kind of said this all year with the A's. They're so young and there's so much upside that when things are going good, I feel like they don't know any better. Like they don't know that they're not supposed to win game. You know what I mean? Like they're just out there playing and they're so talented. Guys like Nick Kurtz, Jacob Wilson, when things are running good for them, they tend to just go out the next day and continue to play well. And then, but if you go look at the A's season to this point, there's a reason that they come into play 62 and 72. And that reason is when things are not going good, they tend to snowball in the other direction. So I don't want to fade the A's when they've now won. What do we decide? They've won 8 of their last 11 games. I think they've won 8 of 11, something like that. That's not, I don't want to fade the A's in that stretch because it tells me that things are going well. They just got Jacob Wilson back. That's a huge boost to the lineup. Wilson was out for a little while. So I like the A's from that standpoint. The pitching, like the upside would be with Morales. The problem is, going back to what Bryan said, he profiles more as a reliever to me. He was throwing 99 in that start against the Mariners. So you want to talk about Morales's velo being like what do they have his fastball at StatCast, maybe 97. That Mariners game, he was 99 on the black for a lot of that game, and the Mariners had no chance. Problem is, can he keep that going game to game? Because we've seen times where he's walked a few guys, gotten in trouble. To the Tigers' credit, they're very good at least if you look at their whole season, they're very good at capitalizing on base runners. They run the bases well. They go first to third well. So it's like, you're right, TB. Morales is the wild card because if he comes out like he did against Seattle and he's hitting corners throwing 99, I don't think this Tigers lineup is going to do much against him. Problem is if he's giving up a couple cheap base runners like he did 2 starts ago where he had 5 walks and couldn't get out of the third inning, that's a problem. So ultimately, I think the value is kind of gone on the A's here. I would have wanted like a little bit more of a plus price or maybe a better chance to take the +1.5. But I just don't like what I've seen from the Tigers right now. And I don't want to bet against Morales because I know he's if you watched his last start, his stuff was incredible. Sweeper, 99 on the black. Mariners couldn't touch him. I don't think the Tigers would be able to touch him if he shows up like that. So, maybe a couple guys are in the chat saying like A's team total. I don't mind that. This one could get up there again in the score. So yeah, that's a good conversation, and not really quite sure what you do with that one, but it should be a good one to watch. Let's see. David says, how about those Astros yesterday? Yeah, that was something. We were kind of joking off air. Tanner Gordon, his like third straight good start. But Bryan Leonard, how much of that was Tanner Gordon? How much of that is the Astros just being totally lost at the plate right now? And do you see any angle into Astros Rockies today?
Yeah, the last 14 days, WRC plus on Houston is 65, just ahead of Cleveland at 36. Cleveland was 36 yesterday. They're still 36 and they won. Tells you how bad their hitting is. Yeah, Houston, we thought they were breaking out of it, but they sure didn't come to play yesterday. And to get to Hunter Brown, that was pretty impressive. It'll happen. This is baseball. Houston probably thought they had the game won before the game even started. That happens all the time. Let's say, like for today, you know, if they hadn't lost yesterday, they probably would have overlooked Olander on today's card. But we're getting Valdez, lefty at home. He's about a 295 favorite here. 290. Let's go 290. 8 to the under, minus 20 or so in this one. We're looking at Colorado, as I pointed out. They're not a good road team at all. They have not been a good road team for years and years. But they were a good one yesterday. That happens. Olander comes in with a 6.91 ERA, 5.57 expected. He's 2-10 on the season, and he's a better pitcher than that. It just so happens he pitches in Colorado. He's only 23. Fastball velocity is great, 97.8 miles per hour, 94th percentile. But expected ERA 7th percentile, chase rate 5th, barrel rate 2nd. Having a barrel rate in the 2nd percentile and pitching in Colorado is not a good thing. He's going to be a good pitcher on the road eventually. Who knows what he does in Colorado? Freeland's the only one I can remember that has pitched well there lately. But Framber Valdez, 3.32 ERA, 3.80 expected, 1.21 whip. But his extension is only in the 7th percentile. His hard hit rate, the 9th percentile, average exit velocity in the 13th. So he can be hit. Ground ball rate, 98th percentile, which is where he makes his money. He throws that sinker 45% of the time, keeps people from hitting home runs. And that means a lot. Look at Soriano for the Angels. I mean, the guy knows how to get ground balls. He had like 4 double plays the other day again. And those are the kind of guys you like to bet on. So I think Valdez will have some success here. I think Houston wins. Do I want to lay that number? I said yesterday, no, I did not want to lay that number. And today, I don't want to lay that number. So I will be passing.
Yeah, Framber Valdez has not been himself lately, but take a look at his last starts. 3 of them have been on the road. If you look at his home ERA, it's 1.85, which is really impressive. And his career numbers against this team are also impressive against these batters. 214 average against with a 643 OPS, but that's only 14 at bats against. So can't really put any credence in that, but you can put credence in his home ERA at 1.85. Granted, his last 4 starts have not been good. He's given up, I think, 13 runs in his last 2 starts, but not good. But his home ERA is incredible. So I'm a little conflicted here. Astros definitely are not worth the minus 300 price because look what happened yesterday. Can the Rockies win 2 in a row? I tend to be one of those guys who thinks yesterday has really not much to do with how today works out. But humans are humans and human nature is human nature. And sometimes, something like yesterday stings a little bit and you come out with a little extra oomph to win the game. Astros are definitely a better team. But I'm definitely not playing this game after what happened yesterday. So, I'll pass on this. But I don't think there's any way. I don't think the Rockies have a snowball's chance in hell of winning this game.
If I'm Chase Dollander, I'm so annoyed at the fact that I got drafted by the Rockies and that they continue to do what they do. He was their first round pick in 2023. Okay, that's two years ago. For those of you keeping score at home, that's not that long ago. It would not be he has a 98-mile-an-hour fastball. He does not know how to pitch at the big league level yet. Okay, he's got a 5-pitch pitch mix. He's got a great fastball, 98. If you're throwing 98 in Major League Baseball, yet you can't get anyone to swing at any other pitch that's not like right over the middle of the plate, you should be in AAA, especially as a 23-year-old prospect. Yet the Rockies continue to just trot him out at the big league level when they're 60 games under 500, which makes virtually no sense. There's other options. They have other guys that could get pummeled at the big league level. This is a team that's 38-94. And it's like, again, I think it's unfair to have Dollander up here because he should be sort of harnessing his pitch mix and sort of honing his craft against hitters that he can actually beat right now. Even with the Astros having their hitting woes, he can't beat like big league lineups. I mean, yes, he's had like a couple of good starts. Every once in a while, it's going to happen when you throw 98, but he doesn't, no one swings at anything else. So he's out there and it's like, he's got a good fastball, but he's got 5 other pitches that any big leaguer just waits for and crushes. And so I don't see how that doesn't happen again here, even with the kind of how cold the Astros have been. They saw Dollander earlier this year at Coors Field, and they had him out in the 3rd inning. 6 runs on 7 hits, 2 2/3, 1 strikeout. Shocker. No one's swinging at anything out of the zone with him, and most guys can hit a 98-mile-an-hour fastball. So I'll go Astros team total over. I do think you're going to see, like when the Astros score, they're going to probably put up a crooked number. It's only 4.5, and you can get it for like $1.25, $1.30. That feels like a good bet. I wouldn't lay the minus 250 because that's just a crazy price on a team that's not playing well. But I think 5 runs is very doable for the Astros here. Or like Turnbuckle Tommy says, you could go Dollander over 2.5 runs. I don't mind that either. I think this is the day that the Astros score some runs. All right. Bryan, do you want to throw a game out there that we haven't talked about yet?
There really isn't a lot right now I'm really that invested in at this point. If somebody else has got something they want to talk about, I'll find something for the parlay.
Mark Kinson and like 3 other people said, can we cover Braves Marlins? So let's cover Braves Marlins. And that's going to be, it looks like we've got Joey Wentz and Ryan Gusto in his new home of Miami, Florida.
Gusto has been giving up runs, like Gusto, in Gusto, I guess you can say. But Joey Wentz, 5.25 ERA, 4.39 expected, 1.47 WHIP. His extension is great. He's 6'5", 93rd percentile. Other than that, he looked really good his first few starts for Atlanta, but lately not so good. He's had 7 starts on the season. He's the shine is off of Joey Wentz as a starter here. He didn't start anything last year. 2023 had 19 starts, but 6.90 ERA. Average exit velocity, 7th percentile. Walk rate, 15th. Hard hit, 15th. Don't want Joey Wentz here. I think Miami will get to him. They're a better team than what they've shown, but I don't want Ryan Gusto either. He comes in with a 5.05 ERA, 4.16 expected, 1.40 WHIP. Other than the walk rate in the 69th percentile, everything else is league average or worse. So we got 2 starters here that I'm not really crazy about either one. I do believe this might be the other game that is a getaway day, if I'm thinking correctly. But there seems to be a little bit of value here on Miami, but the line is currently about 128 for Atlanta, 8.5. I'm just not going to be able to get there because I just don't trust Gusto. He has looked bad. He didn't. Usually Miami is very good with these guys once they get them. He hasn't been very impressive overall. So I'll sit this one out. There's other games to play.
Me gusto cerveza. I can say I like beer in 3 different languages. Birusquitas. Me gusto cerveza. I like beer. So I have a 5% play out today. Go grab it, guys. It's Major League Baseball. It's a money line play, and it's a good one. So regarding this game, these two teams, I have them the closest of any matchup today. So I am not playing this game. We have two teams that are not making the playoffs, playing for stats, basically. Not a lot of motivation, kind of playing out the season here. I got Atlanta hitting better. I got Miami's bullpen better. And I got the two starting pitchers basically neck and neck. So I am not going to play this game, even though I do like beer.
Yeah, Joey Wentz, if you remember last week, that was, I believe, Friday, the first time I gave the Mets out, and it was a winner. And I kind of talked about Wentz being just like not really profiling as a guy that's going to have success as like a starter over 6 innings. I mean, that's kind of what happened. I think he got blown up maybe in the 3rd or the 4th inning of that game, turned into 6 runs on 9 hits over 3 1/3. That's, the Marlins are a team that I've been a little bit hesitant to back recently. I think the Kyle Stowers injury really sucks for them. I mean, he was kind of having the breakout. He was the star of that team. But Stowers probably not as important in a matchup against Wentz, who's a lefty, and he's very tough on lefties. So, again, here is like, I've kind of been out on the Marlins. If you remember earlier in the year, I was very high on the Marlins and looking for spots to play them. I've been out on them lately, but here, as a dog, I think it would have to be Marlins or pass. And then, for Gusto, he's a guy I didn't really care for when he was with the Astros organization. But I've liked what the Marlins can do with these like pitchers that they sort of inherit from other places, and then they'll decide if they've done anything with them or not. But look at a guy like Jansen Junk, who comes in, didn't have much success in his previous stop, and they've kind of turned him into a serviceable player. And they've done that with some bullpen arms as well this year. So I think because of that, even though Gusto hasn't thrown it great yet since showing up in Miami, I think that there's a part of me that thinks that maybe he's got some upside. And I still think the Marlins have far more upside than the Braves, who I truly believe you're going to see the Braves, and maybe we started to see it this weekend a little bit. I think you're going to see the Braves sort of mentally check out. There's a lot of veterans on this team. As you guys have pointed out, they're not going to the playoffs. And I do think as the calendar turns to September, and you've got a roster with guys like Acuna, Madelson, some of these like older veteran guys, you're just going to start to see this team go through the motions, and they're going to be a team I want to bet against more often than not. So in Miami, rubber match of the series, I think the only way I could play this one is Miami plus money. Not my favorite thing on the board, but I would just take the value there. Okay, let's see. We have we've got 5 minutes left, 6 minutes left, and we still need parlay legs from both of you guys. So, do either of you have a game that we haven't talked about yet, or do you want to just lock in your parlay on something we have talked about so far?
Yeah, I'll just go back and talk about that Tampa Bay game against Cleveland again. Why change if it's nothing's broke, as they say? Cleveland's offense is terrible. Rasmussen, I believe, will have some success against them, and the bullpen for Tampa Bay looks pretty healthy in this game. I'm going to play the Cleveland team total under 3.5 at -135. Only twice in the last 11 games have they scored more than 3 runs, and I don't see it breaking out here. Yesterday, as I pointed out, they scored 3 runs early, were shut out the rest of the game, and that was on the heels of being shut out 3 of the last 4 games. So Cleveland's offense is not playing well right now, and they're going up against a pretty talented starter in Tampa Bay. So I'll play the team total under 3.5 at -135. I don't think Cleveland will score 4 runs in this game.
TB, what
My
about
leg
you?
of the parlay is a game we already covered. I'm going to take Boston. Sorry, guys. I'm going against the grain here, but I like Boston -155 on the money line. It looks like we have enough time in the show to cover one more game.
You
After
get them
the
to
parlay.
135 now.
Well, good. We are
135? Wow.
Yep.
Great. A lot of
We
faith
are
in
gonna
Dietrich ends there in the market, huh? Okay. Unwarranted in my opinion, but okay, I'll take it.
we are going to cover one more game because I'm going to change my game. Mostly because I don't think we can have a Rays money line and a Guardians team total. I know some of the legal sites are going to let you parlay those together, but I know we have a lot of people that play PPH and places that are not going to allow that. So I'll let Bryan take the Guardians game. And so the first two legs are going to be Red Sox on the money line, Guardians team total under, and I'm gonna throw out a third. I'll throw out a leg of the parlay. It's a little bit more juiced, but I don't care. This is another leg I like, and we'll give it the full rub. We've got time. I want to talk Blue Jays Twins. Bryan, I don't know how the Blue Jays choked that away last night, but they did. But I don't think they choke here. I like the favorite in this one, and I feel like there's even some value at like minus 170 when you consider where both of these teams are at right now. So Blue Jays Twins, how do you see this one?
Well, I don't think there's value on it, but if you do, good for you. We got Richardson coming up. He will take the place of Zebby, who they're pushing back a little bit. Eric Lauer's been very good. He's a lefty going against Minnesota. Current line is about a 180 favorite, total of 9. I agree. I thought I wanted Toronto, but I didn't want to lay this kind of number. Toronto's been so good for so long that they're going to be a little bit of a drop back down a little bit, especially against a team like Minnesota. And granted, but by the way, they lost yesterday. Maybe it doesn't happen today, but when I take a look at these guys, Richardson is 4.24 ERA, 4.30 expected, 1.40 WHIP. That's a little bit high. Everything on his card is on the StatCast cards in the blue, except for his extension. So he's not a guy I'm really looking to play. But then we've got on the other side, we've got Eric Lauer, who, yes, he's made some adjustments this year. He's been a totally different pitcher. 2.76 ERA, 3.37 expected, 1.08 WHIP. But his ground ball percent is in the third percentile, which means he throws a lot of fly balls. And this isn't a good stadium if you're trying to avoid home runs. It's a pretty decent home run hitting ballpark. His fastball velocity is only the 14th percentile, average exit velocity the 24th. So his numbers I'm taking with a grain of salt a little bit. Granted, he's turned his career around after missing last year in the United States, and the year before 6.56 ERA, small sample size, 46 innings, but he's been much better this season, and he's been a big surprise. Good for Toronto, good for Lauer, but I just can't lay that number in this one.
Yeah, Lauer, guy, I never really had a lot of faith in, but if you look at his numbers, especially against his team, really good stuff. He's got a 2.45 ERA at home as well. It's only 33 innings, but I think that's enough to say he's pretty good at home. 220, 231 average against versus these batters, but it's only a 13 at-bat sample size, so that you definitely cannot use. When I put these two teams together, huge advantage in hitting for the Blue Jays, but we expect that. They've just been mashing. Minnesota mashing yesterday is not something I expected, but they certainly did. Doesn't mean that they're all of a sudden a great hitting team. I have them ranked 26 out of 30. Both bullpens underperforming grossly. And I got the starting pitchers kind of even. I give a slight tip to Lauer because of his head-to-head stats and his home stats. Overall, I think the Blue Jays should be around a minus 130, minus 140 favorite. And it looks like they are minus 180. So the price is a little too high, but I think the right team is favored.
Oh yeah, I'm way off there. I got the Blue Jays as a $2 favorite. That's why I said that there was some value. I also thought I saw before I came on that there was some 175s and stuff like that. Yeah, obviously less value at minus 185, but still perfectly fine to throw in the parlay. I just kind of going back to what I said earlier this season before it was sort of known. I've been high on the Blue Jays all year. I think they're the best team in the American League. And, want to talk about the Red Sox? Like, the Red Sox are starting to put a little pressure on them. I don't think the Red Sox catch the Jays in the division, but they're certainly making them think a little bit. I believe the lead is down to 4. And you have the Blue Jays at home here. They come off of a loss yesterday where, they took a lead into the 9th inning and gave it away. End up losing 7-5, a 4-run 9th inning for the Twins. I guess stuff like that's going to happen, but I just think you get a Blue Jays team that's a little bit more on high alert here after blowing the lead to them. And the Twins, I'll go back and say it again, like they just winning is not even like the second priority for them right now. Like they still have many good players at AAA. I'm not quite sure what the goal is with the way that they're sort of, working their pitching around. They've traded away every bullpen arm. So basically, after the starter in any Twins game, you never know what you're going to get. And then you've got a guy like Simeon Woods Richardson, who hasn't thrown in the big leagues since July and is not someone that I'm particularly high on in general. So Eric Lauer, I think he's going to, I think he's going to want to make good on this, spot back in the rotation because by no fault of his own, he kind of lost his rotation spot for a minute. I think they skipped him last time around. So I don't think Lauer has thrown in about 11 days. I think he's going to pitch great. I don't like Woods Richardson. These two teams aren't even in the same stratosphere. And then, if you can't get him early, the Jays certainly should be able to get some runs late. So if I'm just picking winners, I think the Blue Jays is the strongest matchup on the card. The problem is you got to lay minus 180. So let's just do it in the parlay. Brian, is that what we're at? Like minus 180, minus 185 right there?
Yeah, you can get as low as 71 at Heritage, or actually 68 at Circa, but most of the lesser books that will kick you out are in the higher number. So that tells me that Minnesota's got more value. So I would lean a little bit with Minnesota, but it's your pick. It's not mine, and I'm not going to play Minnesota. So, but we're looking at overall, I would say about 180.
Yeah, I mean, I think they pummel Simeon Woods Richardson and whatever the Twins can scrape up to throw the last few innings of that game. So I'll go Blue Jays. We have Blue Jays money line, Red Sox money line, Guardians team total under 3.5. So I'll read them again. It's Bryan Leonard, Guardians team total under 3.5, parlayed with Red Sox on the money line and Blue Jays on the money line. That comes out to plus 345. And hopefully we can hit this one so we can stay in the plus on the parlays. We are at the end of the show. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. As always, about 1,000 live viewers, and I know a bunch of you guys come back and watch this on demand. We greatly appreciate that. Tokyo Brandon's got a 5%er today, so go check that out. There's a good chance I'm posting any MLB I play today for free. So head on over to Wager Talk and check the free picks tab because that's where I'm going to post it.
Leave a comment for us too.
And leave a comment. Yeah, if you're watching on the replay, drop down below, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and leave us a comment. Good, bad, indifferent, or just, if you just want to say hi, we'll take all of them. They definitely help the show. All right, we'll see you guys tomorrow morning, 9 Eastern, for more Total Basis. Have a great day, everybody.